Is going on, everybody? It's Friday afternoon. Had like 8 sleeves of Starburst. I'm a little tired.
I was going to say, you've either had a lot of caffeine or a lot of sugar very recently.
Yeah, I also just slammed like a giant Dr. Pepper, so I am a little tired, a little wired, but here we are. It's Friday. I like Fridays. Last night's slate. I don't want to talk about it. Don't really want to talk about it. I do have to shout out Blackjack Brando, though, in our Discord. He did take down the 40 for $5,000. He did thank our boy Tyler Tennell, better known as Frostback, for the Dose Stahl pick. He's been hot. That Hansel's so hot right now, Hansel, with his goalie picks. So, yeah.
Yeah, he had a great night. I also want to point out Zeekster. He had a bunch of top 3 and top 5 finishes. I think he was top 3 in the $5 multi-entry, and he only put in like 6 lineups. So he had a really good night as well. Carolina came through for us. The goaltenders did not. Carolina and Washington had pretty good games. Carolina 1, Washington 2. Probably needed Carolina 1, Washington 1. Dostal had a big game in net. I did not have Dostal. I had Charlie Lindgren. You had Saros. Neither did very well. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, the Oilers just needed Slapdick McDavid to leave the team for them to actually start scoring goals, you know what I mean? But I had a iteration of my lineup. I used Carolina 1 without Roslovic, and then Washington 2, and then I had Eklund and Saros. I had an iteration with Toffoli and Dostal. Eklund had 0-0-0, and UC Saros had -0.7. Toffoli had 8 shots on goal, and Dostal had 30 DK points. I ended up not cashing. If I went with the other iteration, I would have won the 333. So, like, that stings the nostrils, but it is what it is. Can't go back and change it. Not the worst swap I've ever made. But it feels bad not getting goalie right and getting your stacks right. I'd rather get my goalie right and my stacks not do anything. I don't know.
Yeah, it is painful seeing, like I said, at Washington 2, you see Tom Wilson goal, you see Svechnikov get 2, Roslovic pops 1, Connor McMichael gets 1 in the third period, and then like Charlie Lindgren just shits the bed. And then I said I wanted to play an expensive defenseman yesterday. I did. I had Roman Josi. He had 4 shots and 2 blocks at the end of the second period and did not get another shot or block for the rest of the game. It's just, things like that. That's why we say it's a long season, because we're like 3.5 weeks in and we're already seeing stuff like this. Like there's another 25 weeks of this. So, we're going to have some more funny nights, but Brando and Zeke had pretty good nights. Hopefully we can help people have some pretty good nights here tonight on this 5-gamer.
It's pretty funny because usually after lock, you'll go off and do something, and I don't hear from you until the next morning. But a few hours after lock, like 9 p.m., which is like really late for you to be in Discord, I just got a message that says, I'm clawing at my face right now.
Because at that point, Roslovic and Svechnikov, they both had 4 shots with like 5 minutes left in the second period. And with like 5 minutes left in the third, they both still had 4 shots. Like Roslovic eventually got the shot bonus, but Svechnikov didn't. And then Josi missed both of his. Like it's, those are the fine margins when you get to the top of tournaments. But, I cashed in second cash in 4 days. So playing single entry and cashing twice in 4 days, like I'm not going to complain too hard. So hopefully we can keep the good times rolling here tonight.
I don't know if you noticed this one either. The Capitals have had a late power play. Tom Wilson had a late shot. He kind of got robbed, and then he dropped the gloves. It's like, get the 3-point bonus, then you drop the gloves. That's what we get for rostering that idiot. But anyway, we have a 5-game slate today. Couple of high totals, and then everyone else is kind of around the same. You have the Rangers at 3.6, the Devils at 3.6, Los Jets at 3.5, and then everyone else is basically 2.8 or 2.9, and then the Wild are at 3.1. So a couple of high ownership spots because those high totals will navigate you through it. Let's get into it before we do. As always, just want to thank you guys for the affiliate signups, the likes, the super chats, the hanging in the Discord, all of that. It supports us directly. Thank you very much. And if you are not a premium member and you're thinking about going premium, just click the link in the chat. Use promo code Stochastic15. That will get you 15% off your first week or month of premium. Also, if you're interested in NFL memberships, because a Stochastic member named Rick, Lofty did a video with him after he won the Millie Maker to go over his strategy. You can check that out on the Stochastic YouTube channel. But if you are looking to get back into NFL premium, you can use promo code MILL, M-I-L-L. That'll get you 30% off any NFL subscription. Let's get into this slate, and let's start with probably the worst game of the night. The worst game of the night. New York Islanders with a 2.8 total heading into Buffalo. The Sabres also have a 2.8 total. Matt Barzal went back to Long Island. That sucks. But he has an upper body injury. There is no timetable yet. He has to go see the doctor, and the doctor will tell him what's up. But, man, these lines, forget the lines. The roster is just brutal. The lines are Horvat, Anders Lee, JG Pajot, Brock Nelson, Palmieri, Sipelkoff. That's fine. But then, the bottom six is insanely bad. Holmstrom, Engvall, Zizekas, McLean, Wallstrom, Fashing. I don't know, man. That's just rough. Buffalo going Thompson, Tuck, Peterka, Cousins, McLeod, Greenway. I think they moved Cousins to the wing because he was struggling at center to score. And then Zucker, Quinn, Krebs. It's interesting that the Islanders have double the ownership projections as the Sabres. I'm not sure why. Horvat, Anders Lee, JG Pajot coming in at 11.4% projected ownership. I don't want anything to do with that line. I know Anders Lee's shot rate has been upped recently, but that line does nothing for me. If anything, on the Islanders side, it'd be Nelson, Palmieri, Sipelkoff. And even then, at 14.5, I guess it's fine. And they're probably going to play pretty heavy minutes. But I don't particularly love the Islanders. 2.8 total. It's tied for the lowest on the slate. I'd rather just go play Columbus in the similar price range. I'd rather play Tampa second line. I'd rather play something on Calgary maybe. You know what I mean? I just don't really want to play the Islanders here. These lines are fine. At least the Nelson line, but they have negative leverage. Double-digit ownership on Islanders on this slate just feels kind of bad. So in my single entry, I'm out on the Islanders. If you want to play that second line in MME, that's fine. You want to get a little piece of the Horvat line, that's fine. For me, it is kind of a Buffalo game. I don't really love the Sabres either, specifically because Thompson, Tuck, and Peterka are over 20,000, and it's not a very good power play matchup, and Peterka's not on the top power play. So, that's an MME line for me. I think I would maybe go to McLeod, Cousins, Greenway. I like the way McLeod has played to start the season. He's just quietly a solid player. His numbers with the Oilers last year were really good. He just didn't get the minutes. Now a second line center, he should get the minutes. So I don't even mind a McLeod, Cousins 2-man. You want a full stack with Greenway, it's fine, but they're only 10,800. You're looking to power play stack something. I think you can take two of them there and be on your day. So, this game's pretty much MME. I don't mind Buffalo 2 here.
Yeah, this is a weird game because This game on Pinnacle, at least, is sitting at a 5.5 total. I just looked at the Fantasy Labs Vegas odds. They had it opening at 6.5 and falling to 5.5 through the day. So that under's been getting smashed. And it's basically a coin flip.
Yeah, that
Buffalo
also was weird to me.
Yeah, Buffalo's slightly favored at home, but nothing significant, especially for a home team. It's basically just a home ice advantage. So they're basically treating these two teams as equals without Matt Barzal. The Islanders are getting Alexander Romanov back. That helps a little bit. I guess my issue is this, is like with Matt Barzal out, it takes easily the best playmaker out of the lineup for the Islanders, right? It's funny saying that given how little the Islanders have actually scored this season. But he is kind of like, the proverbial straw that stirs the drink. I was looking at some tracking data from all three zones. In over 310 minutes tracked amongst the forwards, they've made one cross-ice pass for a shot, and it was Matt Barzal. They've made 8 passes from the center ice for like an off-angle shot, and 5 of them have come from Matt Barzal.
That's
so
insane.
out of those like 9 high danger-ish passes, over half of them have come from Matt Barzal. The rest of the team just can't do anything. The thing is like, I think that just affects Horvat more than it would affect everyone else. Because obviously, that Barzal is going to be missing Horvat. I was looking at Horvat's numbers with the Islanders over the last couple of years when he doesn't have Barzal on his line. 9.6 high danger shots, 4 per 60. That's below average. 13.8 against. That's above average. 2.1 goals per 60 minutes. Like, Barzal is very important to Horvat's production. And when you tell me that, that Horvat Anders Lee Barzal line is going to come in at 11.4% ownership, which top 5 by ownership probably tonight. Now they're priced as a filler. At least Horvat is going to be on the power play. It'll be interesting to see who they use to replace Barzal. I don't know if it's going to be Lee. It might be Siplikov. Either way, I'm out on Islanders 1. Like, that's just an easy pass for me. Islanders 2 would be where I'd have the interest. 14.5K for Siplikov, Palmieri, and Brock Nelson. 7.2% top 2 stack, 10.8% ownership. They have been good this season. 13.9 high danger shots, 4 per 60. That's well above the league average, and it's like 50% higher than Horvat's numbers without Barzal. So, like, I think that's Islanders' second line. It's easily the best offensive line they have now. They've been scoring 4.7 goals per 60. Brock Nelson has been shooting very well for the most part. I think there's an outside chance they're perfectly correlated. At the very least, it's going to be 2 out of the 3 on the power play. Like, for me, it's that Islanders second line, or I'm just not playing anything from the Islanders, at least amongst their forwards. The Buffalo side, I think, is where things get really interesting because that top line is expensive, 20,100 here tonight. That top line has also been very good. 6 goals per 60 minutes, shooting 19%, which is high, but even half that rate, they'd still be well above average by goal scoring. 2 out of the 3 guys on the top power play unit. Islanders penalty kill is struggling. I will also say the Islanders have a .684 penalty kill save percentage, which, like, honestly, like, if they had a decent save percent, like a good save percentage, it'd be 200 points higher. Like, it's been bad. The Islanders don't take a lot of penalties, 1.6 times shorthanded per game. I can see why the under is being smashed in this game. Like, I do like the top line in a nutshell. The Islanders are pretty good defensively at 5-on-5. They don't take a lot of penalties. The Buffalo power play has been generating a lot of shots, not necessarily a lot of goals. I'm not going to say don't play Buffalo 1 here because I do think they are one of the top lines on the slate. I just think it's a pretty bad matchup. And when you look at the expensive lines elsewhere on the slate, like, we'll get to the Rangers, we'll get to Minnesota, we'll get to Winnipeg, we'll get to Ottawa even. Like, there are low-owned lines that you can go for it. that aren't going up against, the elite or a high-end defensive team like the Islanders. So I think Buffalo 1 is fine. They're not necessarily a priority for me. Buffalo 2, I think, is fairly interesting. Like, I agree with you. McLeod and Greenway have looked good this season. Like, McLeod and Greenway are actually generating more high danger shots than the Buffalo top line is on a per minute basis. And with this configuration, they are the second line now. Get Cousins on the top power play unit. I think they're a fine filler stack. Like, if you're paying up for an expensive Rangers stack or even Tampa stack or Minnesota or whatever, I think it's Buffalo 2 is one of the lines that I would go to. But in order, I would go Buffalo 1, Islanders 2, Buffalo 2. I don't think that there's a line that I'm necessarily gravitating towards in this game, though.
Yeah. It always makes me nervous. Like, not that I'm super reliant on Vegas lines, but when that game opens at a 6.5 and gets slammed to 5.5, that is a bit worrisome because usually when the under gets slammed, it only goes down half a goal, not a full goal. So, zoinks. Ottawa Senators with a 2.8 total heading into Madison Square Garden. The Rangers have a 3.6 total. This is an interesting game because I'm a Rangers fan, if you didn't know. Now you know. I also have a Stützle jersey behind me, but if you're an honest Rangers fan, as I try to be, this team sucks defensively. Like, they're bad. They've had top 3 goaltending since essentially 1994. Like, going from Richter to Lundqvist to Igor. We don't know pain of bad goaltending. You know who does know pain of bad goaltending? The Ottawa Senators. The Rangers don't have it, though. They have Igor Shesterkin. He covers up so many defensive woes for the Rangers. That Trocheck line, 3.55 expected goals against per 60. This is Zibanejad line, 3.73 expected goals against per 60 this season. The only line above water defensively is that Hedl, Kako, Cooley line, and they've looked great all season. And because of that, they're actually playing more 5-on-5 than the Zibanejad line. Mika's throwing a little hissy fit in the locker room, but, just play better, bro. But, like, the thing is, like, that makes Ottawa interesting, even though Igor's in net. Like, Brady Tkachuk owns this team. I know I said yesterday, Draisaitl with the PvP, and I don't like it. But, like, if you're going to give me Stützle, Tkachuk, Grieg at a fourth of the ownership of Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere going up against each other, with that Trocheck line giving up, over 3.5 goals per 60, I don't mind the Senators' top line here in MME. They're coming in with positive leverage. They're 17,700. They're coming off a drubbing of the Blues. The Rangers' penalty kill isn't great. Again, they're getting their ass saved by Igor. Surprise, surprise. You get Stützle and Tkachuk on the top power play unit. I'm honestly interested in that Ottawa top line. Now, in single entry, I have issues stacking against Igor, whether that's homer issues or he's just really fucking good issues. The same issues are there. But, like, the more lineups you're making, the more likely I'm getting to some Ottawa 1 here. The Ottawa second line, also kind of fine. They're $2,800 less on DraftKings than the top line. They've actually, since Giroux's gone to that line, they've actually been pretty good defensively too, which is insane for a Josh Norris centered line. So I'm kind of fine with them in MME too. The Rangers side is offensively at least really interesting as well. Like Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere, they've, at least offensively, they picked off where they left off last season. They're the highest projected line by ownership and top 2 stacks tonight, 28.3% top 2, 17.3% projected ownership, which is interesting. The thing is, like, if they're going to go out a bunch against Stützle, Tkachuk, that also means they're probably going to go out a bunch against Travis Hamonic. And that, is a reason to play him. You get Panarin and Trocheck on the top power play unit. The Ottawa PK isn't great, so I do really like the Rangers top line here. I don't know if I'm going to get to them in single entry because of that ownership. Like there's other spots that I really like for a little bit cheaper, and I haven't decided how I want to build yet, but I don't know if I want to commit 21,000 on this slate for one line. Definitely in play. One of my favorite on the night. It's just a matter of there's a bunch of other lines in like the 17 to 19K range that I like just as much. That allows me to get a more competent line in instead of like full punting a second line. You know what I mean? I'm not so much in on Zibanejad, Kreider, Riley Smith. I think you can play Zibanejad and Kreider for the power play, and I think that's fine. But honestly, I prefer the Hito Kako Cooley line to the Zibanejad, Kreider, Riley Smith line. They are coming in pretty negatively leveraged, but they are only 9,300. So that makes sense. And they have almost 5 expected goals per 60 on the season. They've just been running over people. And the Ottawa third line, there's no threat there. We'll just put it that way. Zach Ostapachuk, no thanks. So, like, you don't have to full stack them, but if you are power play stacking the Jets or power play stacking the Devils or doing something with the Wild power play, I think you can take some Hito Kako Cooley and go about your day. I honestly like both sides of this game. It's just, I don't know. If I had to choose one in single entry, it would be that Trocheck line. I just don't know if I want to commit 21,000 on a line this slate.
So yesterday, not yesterday, a couple of days ago, and we'll get to Columbus next. But when we talked about Columbus, we talked about how good the Blue Jackets were doing with the Werenski-Provorov pairing on the ice and how less good, let's say, they were doing without Provorov and Werenski on the ice. It's basically the exact same thing for the Rangers with Adam Fox and Keandre Miller. If you look at the defensive numbers with and without that pair on the ice, the Rangers are allowing literally 54% more shots with Fox and Miller off the ice. They're allowing like double the expected. Yeah, they're allowing like 50% more expected goals against. It's like 37% more high danger shots against. When the top pair is off the ice, they're running into some issues. And like maybe that turns around at some point this season. Maybe not. I guess we're going to find out soon enough. But the interesting thing is like Fox and Miller have been taking some more top lines when they're at home. So I don't wonder if they see a fair bit of Tkachuk here tonight. I kind of like Ottawa 2 better than I like Ottawa 1 because I do think that Ottawa 2 can take advantage of the depth defenseman from the Rangers, because as Kevin Peterson has been messaging over and over in the chat, that the depth defensemen from the Rangers are not very good. I do like them going up against the second and third pairings as long as, somebody doesn't get caught with a flying elbow from Trouba or something like that. You talk about that Ottawa second line with Giroux there, 12.8 high danger shots per 60. It's not like elite or anything, but it is like 10% better than the league average. And that's something rare for a Josh Norris line. They're scoring 4.1 goals per 60, shooting under 12%. So high, but not extreme. They've basically been the top line lately. Like their last 5 games, they're basically neck and neck with Tkachuk and Stützle for ice time per game. Like this isn't a second line that's going to play 16 or 17 minutes. Like if things keep going as they are, they're going to play 18, 19, maybe 20 minutes, especially Norris. So like, that Ottawa second line, 15 or 14.9K, 5.3 top 2 stack, 4.7% ownership. I don't mind them as like a mid-priced line here tonight, especially where they're not coming in with very much ownership. The Rangers generally have a decent penalty kill. A lot of that's been Igor. Whether he can keep it up, it is Igor. We'll see. But you get 2 of the 3 guys on the top power play unit. They've been getting a lot of ice time. They've been playing well. I think they're going to avoid Fox and Miller for the most part. I really do like that Ottawa 2 line here tonight over. Ottawa 1 is fine. Like I'm not going to say don't play them. I think I have two issues with Ottawa. One, as a full line stack. One, Ridley Greig isn't going to play 17, 18, 19 minutes, right? He's going to be like 13, 14 minutes probably. Two, Stützle's not shooting this year. I know he's scoring goals, and that's nice. He's also shooting like 32%. Like it's some Ivan Barbashev going on with Tim Stützle right now. That kind of worries me because Stützle, his shot rate was 34% higher last year than it's been so far this year. That's for a guy that doesn't shoot very much to begin with, for a guy that's been losing a little bit of ice time lately, to be shooting even less is a pretty big concern for me. I think Brady Tkachuk as a one-off always makes sense. He's in that David Pastrnak, Kirill Kaprizov range for me, where he's available as a one-off basically every single slate. As far as full stacking Ottawa 1, I think it would be a pass for me. I think I'd rather play Ottawa 2. On the Rangers side, I kind of agree with you. I think I would just go to the Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere line. They get minutes. They've been playing extremely well. Like we were talking before the show, over the last couple of weeks, the Rangers have been playing that Hedl and Cackle line more than the Zibanejad line at 5-on-5. The difference has just been power play time. Ottawa's not taking a lot of penalties. They're at 2.8 times shorthanded per game so far this season. That's it's like 6th or 7th fewest in the league. So if they don't take a ton of penalties, Lafreniere's been getting a lot of even strength time. Trocheck and Panarin certainly get a lot of it. I think it would be Rangers 1. I'd rather play here. Going down to Rangers 3, I think is just fine because they have been really good to start this season. Like they're generating more high danger shots than even the Panarin line on a per minute basis. So I think that Hedl, Kako, Cooley line is fine as a filler. The Rangers top line is the one that's projecting best for me in this game. But I think if I were to play the Ottawa side, I would dip down to the Ottawa second line. I think they're in a little bit of a better matchup, and they're probably going to get as much ice time as the top line will.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Kevin here. They need to break up the Trouba Lindgren pairing. Like, I don't know what they see in Ryan Lindgren. He's just a guy.
They don't need to break up the pairing. They need 4 new defensemen on the second and third pairs.
Play Zach Jones. Who?
Okay,
Zach Jones.
3 new defensemen. Whatever.
Chad Rudewell. Don't play Chad Rudewell. Winnipeg Jets at a 3.5 total heading into Columbus. Our Blue Jackets have a 2.9 total. Dmitry Voronkov back in the lineup. Don't know where he's going to be. Don't know when my internet's going to get better. It's windy, so that means my internet is orange-red. We were talking about this a little bit before the show. We don't know if they're going to break up Monahan, Marchenko, Chinnikov, but they did. And Adam says, don't want to dox you. Quick Party says Voronkov fourth line, and that's what was it? The Hockey News reported as. I just don't know if he's going to be on. Like, it wouldn't shock me if he was on the fourth line, but that just doesn't really make a ton of sense.
Yeah, no. The team published the lines. They had it's the same lines, but Voronkov on the fourth line. I find it really hard to believe, considering all the injuries, all the players that this team has lost, that they're going to leave Voronkov on the fourth line for very long. You know what I mean? Like, he's probably their third best winger now that he's healthy. It feels like a waste.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're just easing him back in, but then at least last year, Voronkov, Chinnikov, and Marchenko played a bunch on the Comrade line, but different coach. So I don't know what this coach's thoughts are on Voronkov, but as it stands, it's going to be Monahan, Marchenko, Chinnikov, Ventilli, Sillinger, Pythia, and then the bottom 6. Like, I have a feeling like Voronkov's going to move up the lineup as the game goes on. It's just what it's going to be. Winnipeg status quo on their lines. This is an interesting game because it's not Hellbuck in net. It's Eric Comrie. Like, even if he's a good backup, it's still a massive drop off from Hellebuck, who's probably the best goalie in the league. So I wish we kind of got that news later, because I do like that Monahan, Marchenko, Chinnikov line. And like Cliffy said on the last show, if you're going to play these guys, you probably want one of Werenski and Provorov with them, just because their numbers are so much better when they're on the ice with them. I think, one-off Fantilli is fine, but that line is pretty over leveraged at 8.1% projected. At that point, I'll just go play Rangers third line. I do like the Columbus top line here tonight. Fully correlated. Jets don't have a great PK. And it's a good 5-on-5 matchup. Shifley, Connor, Velarde. Trade chances at best. So I do like that Columbus top line. I also like that Winnipeg top line. 19,300, 19.4% top two stack. 13.5% projected ownership. I don't particularly love the 5-on-5 matchup, because that Monahan, Marchenko, Chinnikov line with Werenski on the ice has controlled play, but they are fully correlated, and Columbus's penalty kill sucks. So that is the reason you play Winnipeg 1 here. At that ownership, it does make me a little nervous, because you're kind of fairly power play reliant here, but their power play has been excellent recently. They obviously can get there at 5-on-5. The numbers just tell a little bit of different story. Anything can happen. This is hockey. I don't really want to play the Winnipeg second line, because they are higher projected owned than the top line here. I get it, because once you get past that top line, there's nothing there, but they're not really the second line. They play third line minutes. So again, at that point, I'm going back to Hito and Kako. So it would be both top lines here. With Comrie in that, I think I like the Columbus side a little bit more.
Yeah. Just, for anybody that might be new to NHL or doesn't remember a lot about Voronkov last year, he was really good for Columbus. He led them in shot share on a per minute basis. That line was the only line that finished above 50% by goal share at 5-on-5 in Columbus last year. Like, remember, this team was not very good. He led their forwards by individual expected goals per 60 minutes at 5-on-5 last year. I was looking at some of the tracking data of the players that are still on this roster. Only Adam Fantilli had a higher zone entry rate at 5-on-5 than Voronkov had last year. Like, he is, I think, their third best winger at this point. And you might be like, there is a conversation between Marchenko, Chinnikov, and Voronkov, like which one is actually the best one of the three. That's why I agree with you. I'm like, how long can they actually keep him on the fourth line? This is not a fully healthy Colorado Avalanche team that might have to play Arturi Lehkonen on the third line at some point or something like that. This is a team that needs NHLers badly. It's hard to say. And the thing is like, even if he does move up, like which line does he move up to, during the middle of the second period? Like, you can't stack like that. I do think that Voronkov makes a fine one-off tonight. Like, if you need somebody that's super cheap, he's 3,200. Maybe he doesn't play a ton of minutes, 13, 14 minutes, but I do think that he might be arguably their best goal scorer, not their second best goal scorer behind Marchenko. Like, it's close. But, I do like that Columbus top line again. You mentioned it. If you do play the Columbus top line, you should probably be bringing Werenski along with him. I was looking when I was going through this game. Monahan and Werenski have Monahan has had Werenski on the ice with him for like 61% of Monahan's 5-on-5 time. Like, it like, they do make a point of having that top pair out with their top line as much as they possibly can. Whether they're good enough to shut down Winnipeg 1, like Winnipeg 1, a lot of their success this season has been coming from the power play, and it's been coming from 4-on-4 overtime, like those types of things, empty net. It's not necessarily been coming at 5-on-5, because the Winnipeg top line's at 2.3 goals per 60 minutes of 5-on-5 this season. The league average is 2.6. Like, they're not scoring a ton of 5-on-5. So I honestly don't even think it matters how much Columbus and Werenski, quote, shuts them down at 5-on-5, because that's not where the Winnipeg Jets have been finding their success or the top line anyway, have been finding their success anyway. I do like Columbus 1 here. I worry that even that 8.2% ownership comes in higher. We've been seeing some high ownership numbers on Columbus because the top line has been doing extremely well. But in that mid-price range, I think they're perfectly fine to play in any format. They are the only line that I would fully stack. Other than that, I think it's just one-offs from the Columbus depth. There's no one that I'm running out to play. The Winnipeg side is very interesting because this is a fairly good power play matchup for the Jets. Columbus does not have a good penalty kill. The Jets have had a good power play. Like Columbus so far this season, bottom 10 shots against on the penalty kill, bottom 10 shot attempts against, bottom 5 shots against, like bottom 10 high danger shots against. They have just been really struggling on the PK. Merzlikins and Tarasov have kind of saved them a little bit. You can't expect them to do that every game. It's a good power play matchup. Winnipeg 1 is fully correlated. 19,300, 19.4% top 2 stack. I do like the Winnipeg top line here tonight. Because like I said, even if they haven't been that great at 5-on-5, and Werenski Provorov has been a really good defensive pair, Winnipeg's been getting there despite not scoring at 5-on-5. So it doesn't really matter a whole lot to me. I do think Winnipeg 3 makes an interesting stack because that Winnipeg third line has been really good this year. 13 high danger shots per 60. That's more than either of the top 2 lines. They're scoring 5.1 goals per 60. Shooting percentage is a little high, but the way they're generating shots, even like 9-10% shooting, they'd be around 4 goals per 60. Like they've been doing well, and they get ice time. They get like 14 to 16 minutes, depending. They're better than any of the second, third, or fourth lines that Columbus has, and I don't think they're going to see a ton of Werenski and Provorov. Like that Lowry, Niederreiter, Appleton line, like if you're playing expensive Rangers or expensive Tampa or something like that, I think they're one of the third lines that are in play here tonight. Winnipeg 1 is the line that I like the best in this game. Columbus 1 is certainly in play. Winnipeg 3 if you need a super cheap filler.
Yeah. I like that Winnipeg third line, specifically Nino Niederreiter. You don't have to full stack them, but you definitely can use them. Every time you're talking, my internet gets better. And as soon as you kick it back to me, my internet's just like seppuku time. I don't know what it is, but whatever. Tampa Bay Lightning with a 2.9 total heading into Minnesota. The Wild have a 3.1. Lightning coming off a drubbing of the Avalanche. Minnesota's just a good defensive team. I think it speaks volumes like that Tampa has a total under 3 in this matchup. They are like, you look at almost any metric, they're really up there for best defensive, right? So like Kucherov, Gensel, Point, fine. But again, I was struggling to spend up for the Rangers top line. This Tampa line is $2,400 more expensive in a much worse matchup. So, like, in MMA, if you want to get a little bit, that's fine. But I don't particularly love Tampa 1 here. Tampa 2, I think, is fine. Sorelli, Hagel, Geeky at 13-1 at 1.1% projected. I think they're okay, but I don't particularly love Tampa here. The Wild side is a little bit more interesting. I don't love them. Joe Eriksson Ek just is not shooting for whatever reason. I think I'd be more apt to do some kind of one-offs here, like a one-off Kaprizov always in play. One-off Boldy, I think, is fine here. You could do some sort of like, I think like Zuccarello, Kaprizov, 2-man is fine. I don't know if I'd full stack any line on the Wild side. I'm more for one-offs. I don't particularly love this game for DFS.
I do kind of. I don't really like the Tampa side here. It's nice that the price on Tampa is coming down. Like it's come down like $2,000 in the last week, which, thankful because now it's actually kind of a consideration. Problem is as you mentioned with Minnesota, they're arguably the best defensive team in the league. High danger shots against per 60 in the league is number one. Expected goals against per 60 at 5-on-5 in the league is number one. Goals against per 60 at 5-on-5 in the league is number two. Like, they've just been tremendous at even strength. The problem is the penalty kill. Penalty kill, still bad. It's been bad for years now. The reason why I don't like Tampa, despite what is on the surface a good power play matchup, is that Minnesota doesn't take penalties. Second lowest penalty rate in the league next to the Islanders. So, maybe the Tampa top line goes 1 for 2 on the power play here tonight, and they even get a goal at 5-on-5. Great. 2 goals at 23,400 is just not enough. Kucherov as a one-off, I think, is always in play. But, you talk about Joel Eriksson not shooting. Braden Point's at 3.7 shot attempts per game so far this season. He's down like 35% from last year. Now, the fact that he's scoring a ton has certainly helped him have some good DFS nights. He is typically a high shooter anyway, but I think 37.5% is pushing it. So, Kucherov one off, I think, is fine. But other than that, I agree with you. If I'm stacking anything, it's probably Tampa 2, Hagel, Cirelli, and Geeky. But even then, I don't have a ton of interest in full-on stacking them. I think for me, it's one-off Kucherov or one-off Hagel if you want to pay down, because Hagel still is getting top power play time. He's only 5,700. So I think that's where I would go. Other than that, no interest in the Tampa side. For me, it's about the Minnesota side. And I kind of like the Eriksson line here tonight because they do get top matchups at home. And because that means Point, Gensel, and Kucherov just have not been good defensively. They've been below average defensively. The reason they've looked good is because they have been scoring a ton. It doesn't mean that they've been good defensively, though. That Minnesota second line above average, high danger shots per 60, 4.3 goals per 60 at 5-on-5. Yes, Eriksson isn't shooting a ton, but Matt Boldy is. Matt Boldy gets a ton of ice time. Eriksson and Boldy both on the power play unit, top power play unit. And Tampa Bay is not only taking a lot of penalties, they're about 20% higher than the league average, but their penalty kill itself is not very good. This is a pretty good power play matchup for the Wild. I think you're fine leaving off Johansson and putting on Kaprizov, because if I'm making a Minnesota stack here tonight, I'm not doing it without Kirill Kaprizov. I'm just not. It would be expensive, but we've already mentioned some third lines that are in play here tonight. So I think it's the Minnesota power play guys that I like the best. If I were to full stack anything, it would be that Minnesota second line. They're not coming in with very much ownership, 5% ownership, 7.3 top 2 stack. Take out Marcus Johansson, put in Kirill Kaprizov. Again, it makes it a very expensive stack, but we've already gone over some third lines that you can use elsewhere. So I think that's kind of the direction I would lean. If you want to make it even cheaper, you can leave off Boldy and use Zuccarello. But I just really like the Minnesota power play guys. I think this is a pretty good power play matchup for the Wild, and that's the side that I'm leaning on here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, power play stuff. Hold on.
Yeah, I'll just
get this better here.
Yeah, I'll just start the next game quickly. You just let me know when everything's fine.
Struggling. There we go.
No, there's something not right. New Jersey going into Calgary. New Jersey has a 3.6 total. Calgary at home has a 2.9 total. Calgary has recalled Matt Coronado, and they're putting him on the Michael Backlund line. So Backlund, Coleman, Coronado, leaving Kadri, Zari, Pospisil as one line, and Kuzmenko, Kadri, Sharon, Govich as the other. Looks like status quo from New Jersey, which I don't think is a surprise considering they beat the piss out of Vancouver 6-0 in their last game out. All right, looks like Josh is back. Josh, why don't you give us your thoughts on Devils Flames here tonight?
The game's going to be better than my internet connection, that's for sure. Let's see here. I heard you read the totals. I heard you kind of give the lines. The kids are not jamming the Wi-Fi. One of them's at school. The other one is sleeping. So this is an interesting matchup. Hughes, Bratt, Palat, 17,000, 14.7% top two stacks, 16.9% projected ownership. Heischer, Meyer, Mercer, 17-1, 9.4% top two stack, 7.6% projected ownership. I think it's kind of pick your poison here because it's Dan Vladar in net. I mean, I know Wolf was bad his last time out, but it's not like Dan Vladar is the answer long term. I think this is a matchup where you can go double center and go like Heischer, Hughes, Bratt for some sort of power play stack. I think you can full stack either of the lines here tonight. Nico Heischer has been en fuego, as the kiddos say. I'm fine with Heischer, Meyer, Mercer. Like, that line has been rolling. I think, if you're looking for a little bit less ownership, I think that's fine. I think Hughes, Bratt, and Palat are also fine. There's nothing coming back at them from the Flame side that really worries me. So it's kind of a pick your poison. You can power play stack if you want. I kind of lean more towards the Heischer, Meyer, Mercer line at even strength just because they've been unbelievably good, and that's kind of like you want to ride the wave until it crashes. On the Calgary side, it would probably be Kadri, Pospisil, Zari. It's not a very good power play matchup. The Devils generally have a good penalty kill. They have, this is narrative street city for Jacob Markstrom. If you believe in that kind of stuff, he's been pretty bad to start the season, but he's back in Calgary. It would be Kadri, Pospisil, Zari. Minutes are a concern, but price is there. Ownership's a little high, but, that's fine. But honestly, this is a Devils game through and through.
Yeah, there's a lot of chalk coming in on Calgary here tonight. 3.8%, 11.7%, 9.6%. Even if you swap Zari and Coronado in the top stacks, it really won't change a whole lot. There's a lot of ownership. Basically, one out of every four lines is going to or four lineups is going to have some sort of Calgary stack. I know it's a 5-game slate. There are only 10 teams. When I see that, it's one of those things that's like, oh, it's going to be easy to not play Calgary here tonight. I just don't have a ton of interest in the Flames. In a lot of matchups, I would have interest in Sharon Govich, Huberdeau, and Kuzmenko. It's just this is a bad power play spot for Calgary. New Jersey is below average by times shorthanded per game. Bottom 5 by shot attempts against per minute on the PK. Bottom 10 by shots against. Bottom 10 or bottom 5, top 5, I guess, by high danger shots against on the PK. It's just a really, really good penalty kill. They're not taking a ton of penalties. I'm not really targeting the Calgary power play guys. For that reason, I agree with you. If I were to play anything from the Flame side, it probably would be Zari, Kadri, and Pospisil. But I'm going to be honest, I just don't have a ton of interest. I think Coleman, Backlund, and Coronado is fine, but I'm not sure Coronado really lasts the entire game on that line. I think I'd be more interested in a Backlund Coleman 2-man than I would be full stacking that line. They'll probably go out against Hughes. That Hughes line generally hasn't been that good defensively this season. I think they can be had a little bit. So I think Backlund Coleman is fine. But it's Kadri, Pospisil, and Zari that I have more interest in, just coming with a little bit less ownership. We do have a decent sample of them having some success going back to last year, 2.9 goals per 60. It's not elite, but it is above average. But honestly, I think more than anything, it would just be one-off Kadri. I think one-off Sharon Govich is always in play, those types of things. I'm just not full stacking anything from Calgary. It is a Devil side that I do have more interest in. I don't think the 5-on-5 matchups matter. What I will note is that the Calgary penalty kill has been on a slide. Like, they started the season, their first few games, they did fairly well defensively on the penalty kill. That has not been the case over the last 5 games. I think it's 5 power play goals against in the last 5 games. Their shot against numbers are rising. And when you look at who Calgary has faced lately, I think it makes sense. Last 5 games include Carolina, Winnipeg, Vegas, and Utah. There's some good power plays in there. New Jersey has a really good power play as well. So this is probably a game where I would go to Hughes, Bratt, and Palat. Like, with Palat there, they've actually been generating pretty well. Like, that was the concern when they moved Timo Meier off, was that they weren't generating a ton of offense. With Palat there, they're at 17.6 high danger shots per 60 at 5-on-5. It's like 40% higher than the league average. It's only been like 5 games or something like that, so don't read a ton into it. But I do like that that Hughes, Bratt, and Palat line here tonight. I wouldn't be against taking off Palat and putting in one of the power play guys. So putting in Hischier, putting in Bratt, something like that. Or not Bratt, Nason, sorry. The New Jersey power play, like, their shots have gone up like 25% since they added Stefan Nason. He's a power play whisperer. Like, you and I have talked about it before. He's like the new age Alex Chason. Power plays just get better when he's in front of the net. So I think, if you want to take off Palat and put in Nason, I think that's fine. But it is the Jack Hughes line that I'm kind of targeting here. Dan Vladash, he's been fine to start the season, I guess. But the Calgary penalty kill has been getting worse. So I do like the New Jersey top line. At least you get 2 of those 3 guys on the power play here tonight.
Yep. Just catching up in the chat real quick. Quick Party says the 555 is out for Tuesday. Horrendous structure. I went and looked. 600K prize pool, 200K to first. That's massive for NHL. You don't see that very often. But 2nd through 10th place get 173,000 combined. So, the structure is geared to just win, baby. Then someone's asking, I took down Deflection Wednesday, first out of 3,353 participants. Does that get me anything? I think for the Hall of Fame, you need it needs to be at least 5,000 participants, but you can reach out to @StochasticHOF on Twitter. They would know better than me because I'm not allowed in. Let's talk a little bit about defensemen here. Let me pull them up because I was looking at this idiotic Election Day barn bash. At least they'll give us something to do. Zach Werenski, Victor Hedman, Noah Dobson, Dougie Hamilton, Jake Sanderson, Adam Fox, the guys 6K and above. I think it would be Werenski or Dougie Hamilton for me. After that, I think Josh Morrissey would be the guy, Rasmus Dahlin. But, I'm not exactly the D-man whisperer, as I've made some pretty bad picks the past few days. Let's click it over to Cliffy. He's the guy who will give you the D-man picks.
Yeah, I'd love to give the D picks.
Never mind. We won't go down that any further.
Stochastic does have Zach Werenski the highest projected. He's also the highest projected for me as well here tonight. But Josh Morrissey obviously is coming in as a better value at 5,700. Werenski and Morrissey, like, if you want to be somewhat expensive, I think Werenski, again, if you're playing Columbus one, I think you want one of Werenski or Provorov in your lineup. I think Adam Fox is in play as well. Like, normally I'm not a guy that really targets Adam Fox, but it's a decent power play matchup for the Rangers here tonight. So I think he's fine. Noah Dobson's kind of interesting because it's one of those things where, like, if the Islanders do have a good offensive game, you have to think that Noah Dobson is a big part of it. So he's not a top target for me amongst the expensive defensemen, but I do think he's certainly in consideration if you're making like 3, 5, 20 lineups, obviously 150. Mid-price range, I already mentioned Morrissey. I think Rasmus Dahlin makes a lot of sense as well. He's not getting a ton of ice time. That is a concern. He's also priced as if he's not getting a ton of ice time. So, he's starting to heat up a little bit. He has 12 shots in his last 3 games, 4 points, 7 blocks. So if he's starting to get healthy and he's, that 7K defenseman that we saw last year, then he's a steal right now. I'll mention Rasmus Andersson. He's not a guy I usually target, but I think it is a case where like he could end up with like five shot blocks here tonight against New Jersey, especially where New Jersey's power play tends to shoot so much. And he has been shooting the puck to start the year. Like, this is a good peripheral guy along with Uyghur, but I think I would edge towards Andersson here tonight. For the cheaper guys, like if you don't want to pay up for Werenski, if you don't want to use Provorov, I think Severson is just fine. JJ Moser is kind of interesting here. I haven't seen any official updates on Eric Chernak yet. Oh, he's good to go. Okay. Yeah. If he's playing, then I don't have as much interest in Moser. Keandre Miller for sure at home against Ottawa. Brett Pesce has been pretty consistently over 21 minutes since he got back for the Devils. Good matchup on the road against Calgary. If you're going way, way down, Dylan Sandberg, I think, makes sense for Ottawa. Like, Sandberg and more, like Pionk's starting to get a little bit expensive for me at 5K. He's fine. But with Pionk at 5K, Morrissey at 5,700, I'd rather just pay up for Morrissey. So if I'm going cheap, it would be towards Sandberg. I will mention Declan Chisholm is back in the lineup for Minnesota tonight. He's stone min price. I worry about ice time there. If you need more ice time for a guy that is at or near min price, it'd be Kevin Ball from Calgary or Jonathan Kovacevic from New Jersey.
Love those D picks. But let's move on to the goalie. Oh, it's been a week. Shesterkin, Comrie, Markstrom, Sorokin, Gustafsson from 78 to 8,400 there. Honestly, I don't think I'll be up above 8K tonight. I like Sorokin and Gustafsson at their prices. You want to play Igor, that's fine. You want to play Markstrom for, narrative streak, that's fine as well. But like, it's that mid-range I want to live in. I think Sorokin, Gustafsson, Vasilevsky, and Levi are fine. Like, any of those 4 to me are okay. I'm a little bit concerned about Vasilevsky. He'd be 4 on that list, but the other 3, I'm okay. I don't really want to spend down for Vladar, Merzlikins, or Olmark, but if I had to do it, it would be for Merzlikins. But I'm probably going to be between Sorokin, Gustafsson, and Levi tonight.
Yeah, the 3 goalies that I have are two are in the same game, Levi and Sorokin.
Yeah.
And then Jacob Markstrom late. It's not necessarily just narrative street with Markstrom. It's the fact that Calgary's not bad at generating shots, but they don't usually generate a lot of goals. Like, that's kind of the issue. Like, they had a really good first 4 games of the season or whatever, but this is a team that usually, going back to the start of last year, has not had a ton of trouble generating shots, but has had a lot of trouble generating goals. So I do like Markstrom, even at 8K on the road. This isn't a slate where I would necessarily pay all the way down. I agree with you. If anyone, it would probably be Merzlikins, but I think playing Shesterkin at 8,400 is just fine. But again, I think for me, it's going to be one of the goalies of either Sorokin or Levi in that Islanders Sabres game, or just playing Markstrom on the road in Calgary.
Yeah, since I don't know, like the middle of last season, the Flames generate a lot of quantity, but not a lot of quality. So yeah, Markstrom does make sense. We will be back tomorrow. Before we get out of here, though, we got to make our hat trick picks. I was actually live for a hat trick pick for the first time since 2001. And then Svechnikov decided to mail it in. But who are you liking for your hat trick pick?
Going to that Devils Flames game, I'm going to go with a guy I think is kind of underrated on that Devils side. I'm going to go with Jesper Bratt.
Jesper Bratt. Nico for Frostback, so we can scratch him off the list for my lineup. I'm going to go. I don't want to go to the Rangers because that would just be homerish. I am going to go Kirill Marchenko.
So you just go to the Homer team of the Discord.
Yep.
Okay.
I do like, you see, quick party with Hedel. I wanted to say someone on that line, but can't be a Homer. I can, but I won't. We'll be back tomorrow for the 6th show of the week. We've been busy boys this week, but next week is a little more relaxed. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully you win some money, and go Rangers.
Whatever. Good luck tonight, everyone.